Hey everybody, I'm back in Hong Kong after going to LA for BlizzCon, and I have two phones here waiting for me to unbox. So I have here the Comet, which I'll do first in this video, and I also have the Blackview S8, which I'll do in a second video later on. So you follow Chinese smartphone news, or budget smartphones anyway, you have probably heard of the Alpha, which was one of the better budget Chinese bezel-less phones out there. So this is the new phone. Maze is like the third phone I think that they've made, and it's called a Comet, and it has that 18:9 aspect ratio that LG and Samsung started, and then now all the Chinese companies are really quickly following suit. So let me peel this thing later. First I want to just take apart the box and see what's there. So Maze, the packaging is usually pretty nice. So this is pretty bare bones, but this is a little felt material, so it feels a bit more premium than the typical Chinese budget phone. But really not much in here. I don't even know if we get a case. Probably not. Nope. Because usually with Chinese phones, you usually get a free case with each purchase. So not the Maze Comet. But this device I believe is selling for 169 bucks on GearBest right now, which is really cheap. So let's get to my favorite part, the peeling. Oh, this thing's brand new. Oh wow. So this is unique. This is a leather back that, well, actually I don't know if it's real leather, I'll have to double check that, but it feels very leathery. In the front, whoa, okay. Let me power this thing on. So you see right off the bat the bezels supposedly go up to here only, but I think it probably goes up to here. This is probably like a black bar. That's actually not part of the display. We'll see. Yep. So still looking very nice, but that's interesting how if you look at here, the body of the phone goes up to here. So when you're first looking at it, you think, oh, is that the bezel that's small? But then nope, it actually goes up a little bit more because the display panel only comes up to here. Still pretty impressive. This is an 18:9 aspect ratio. So for comparison, let me rip out some other phones. So 18:9 aspect ratio on the Maze Comet, same as the LG V30. LG actually did it first. So a longer aspect ratio makes the phone a little bit easier to grip because it's easier to reach all the way across. And this is the iPhone 10. It has an actually even longer aspect ratio. It has a 19.5 by 8, which is a little more than 2 to 1. So the Maze Comet is a little bit taller. This Maze Comet actually really reminds me of this phone, the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. So they're actually roughly the same size. Although I think the Note 8 definitely has a much bigger screen because slimmer bezels, but they're very similar in build. So the Maze Comet is a bit thicker, but if you look at it, they both have that rounded symmetrical, like the rounded sides that are symmetrical front and back. I really like this. It feels really good. Like the display, I don't think that the display panel actually curves because I'm pretty sure it's not OLED, so it stops right here, but this glass here actually curves. So while the display stops here, doesn't curve, the glass curves around. And it makes for a really nice in-hand feel. I mean, damn, for 170 bucks, this is very premium feeling. So anyway, I'm gonna go out, get a bite, and play around with this phone, and I'll be back. Hey everybody, I'm back after playing with the Maze Comet for all afternoon and evening, and man, this is definitely the most premium feeling, cheap smartphone that I've tried yet. I can't believe this thing's only 180 bucks. Like I mentioned in the unboxing, this thing looks so similar to the Galaxy Note 8. It's pretty scary because I think the Note 8, it's a very sleek, sexy looking device. I like how when I put it on a table, like the screen looks like it's melting off the edges, and it feels like the whole phone is part of the table almost because it's so sleek. The Maze Comet has a very similar vibe. Not as polished, obviously, but it looks very good. When you put them on a table side by side, like the curved edges just looks beautiful. One of the things I like to do when I use a Samsung Galaxy phone, even when I'm just standing around, I like to roll the phone around in my palm like this because the front and the back is completely symmetrical, so it feels really nice. It feels nicer than other phones, even like the iPhone X, where it's kind of sharp right here where the screen meets the metal. But on Samsung phones, the screen curves and then it just feels very smooth to the hand, and it's just something I like to do. So with the Maze Comet, I'm able to get a similar type of feeling when I spin it in my hand like this. This curved edge is just very beautiful. Left side of the device, you have the volume rocker and a power button that has this really nice texture to it that you can differentiate between the volume rocker and the power button. On the bottom, you have a single speaker grill and a USB-C charging port. On the right, it's mostly clean except for a SIM tray. On the top, you have a headphone jack. So this phone, you can actually stand it on the table like this flat because the top and the bottom, it's flush. So looking more into the hardware, you have a 5.7-inch display. It's an LCD panel, only 720p resolution, but everything looks pretty nice. Probably because, when it's a budget device, you don't have the same expectations you would have for, say, the Google Pixel 2. Jumping into device info, you see that this phone runs on a MediaTek 6750T with 4 gigs of RAM. If you're interested in benchmarks, the Maze Comet scored a 598 on single core with a 2344 on multi-core. In terms of software, this is Android 7.0. As you can see, it's virtually stock. It's that same budget Chinese stock though, so everything's a little bit not as updated as how Google has it. But the notification shade and the settings are very clean, almost a little bit too bare bones if you ask me. There are some gestures though. So you see in settings, you have Smart Wakeup, which lets you draw an alphabet on the screen to wake up the phone. So if you draw a C, it'll dial. So let's try that actually. I haven't tried it yet, so. Okay, so it goes straight to dial, but it's a little bit slow. And unfortunately, I don't think you can launch apps with the same shortcut. You can only do shortcuts that are pre-assigned within the phone, such as make calls or check your SMS. In terms of navigation, Maze, it's just like the Alpha. They give you have the option to put a row of navigation buttons on the bottom, but out of the box, it doesn't have any navigation buttons. Instead, you use this capacitive button here. So how it works is same thing. You tap the button once to go back, or you press into it to go home. So if you want to bring up all your recent apps, you long press on the button. That will bring up all your recent apps. So earlier during the unboxing, I wondered if this was actually leather. It actually is, in fact, calfskin leather. So this is real leather. And there's a single camera on the back. Props to Maze for not trying to put that fake second camera out there that most budget Chinese phones do. Like, just stop fooling around. We're not falling for it. So there's only one camera, which is all you need anyway. So it's a Sony 13 megapixel Sony IMX258 sensor. And the camera performance is on par with all the other budget Chinese phones, meaning during the day you're going to get pretty decent shots. Autofocus is a little bit slow, but at nighttime it's gonna suffer. And colors tend to be a little bit overly saturated, but not as pleasing as on Samsung Galaxy devices. It's a little bit like overly saturated, but like not in a pleasing way. And nighttime photography, you see that not good. It's completely overexposed. But again, for a budget phone, I feel like you really cannot complain. Like daytime, when the lighting is good, the phone captured a pretty good photo. The camera is a little bit slow to focus again, but once you do focus, it's pretty decent. When you go too far in, you see that's a little bit blurry. But when you look at it on the phone or when you put this on Instagram, it looks great. So the camera app is pretty basic. You have a photography button, shutter button, a video camera shutter button, and then you have right here selfie camera lens, so you tap it or flip the camera, flash, HDR mode, slow motion, and then up here you have panorama or normal. The panorama mode, unfortunately, it's very hard to use. I tried to get it to work for like 2 minutes, and it's very jittery in terms of scrolling the phone, panning the phone, I mean, as you're trying to capture the shot. So there are some filters that you can bring up that can add a little bit of cool effect to your shot. There's a little bit of an annoying thing with this camera app, that it's on all the budget Chinese phones. So it's also on the Maze Alpha and the Doogie Mix, is that when I want to delete a photo, there's no button to delete right here. You have to tap the 3 dots at the top and then hit delete, and then you have to OK too. So it's like a 3-step process just to get rid of a damn photo. So video samples, same deal with budget Chinese phones. There is no optical image stabilization, so video is quite jerky when you're walking, but in daytime you get really good detail. I'm gonna zoom into this sign here, and it looks pretty decent, but it's very jittery when you're walking, but when you're holding still it's fine. So nighttime video, the Maze Comet actually surprisingly good, because if you remember the other budget Chinese phones such as like the Liegu T5, the camera is basically useless at night. The Maze Comet actually captures pretty decent details. Of course it's very jerky, the video, but I'm walking. Zooming in, detail looks pretty good too. So that's it for this quick hands-on. The Maze Comet right now, it's available on GearBest for $168 US. So I think if your budget on buying a new phone is under $200 and you want something that feels pretty premium, this is definitely a good choice. I mean, this phone, I can't get over how much it feels like a Samsung Galaxy Note 8. That's a major compliment, because I think Samsung's phone is one of the best built devices like ever. Thanks for watching.